Doctors are considered as gods. Wrong thing to say that doctors are considered next to God. I have had so many patients who directly go to the chemist and ask for a treatment, and the chemist will hand out any creams possible in. Is that true? Yes. डॉक्टर के पास लास्ट जाने का ये कर ले इससे ठीक हो जाएगा. आपको हुआ था ना तो I will also apply the same thing. कुछ नहीं चला तो डॉक्टर के पास जाने का. Whatever the doctor used to say was considered as पत्थर की लकीर. Welcome to the Inherited Chair. I'm Rishi Banka, your host, and with us we have Rupa Modi, Rahul Modi, and Ravi Modi, the next gen legacy from Kapadia Hospitals. What is Inherited Chair all about? You're already aware. It's about business owners, legacies, values created after generations and generations. So thank you for coming in, and let's start. Thank you for having us. Starting with you. When we talk about legacies, coming from your parents' background, which is second generation, right? And you got married through a legacy. How different is it for you as a girl? So fortunately, both our families are very similar. Both my parents. So my dad also is a self-made man where he started from scratch and built the hospital that we have today, as well as my father-in-law also started from a very small place, and right now you know how Mamada Hospital is. So it's a very similar background. Their struggles are kind of similar. The way they brought up, but their whole ethical values are quite similar for me. So would you say in the medical profession, the legacies that are built in are more or less the same? I think so. I think the core value remains the same for all legacies. If you want to build a legacy, you have to have a core value, which is ethical practice at the base. Coming up, your mother is from a different background of medicine. Your father is a surgeon. You come in as an orthopedic surgeon. Why did you choose a different course in the entire medical profession? And were you forced to take up some course when you started? So no force for sure. I mean, being a doctor was completely my decision. It was not that I never tried or I never thought about any other profession. In fact, I had taken an admission in MBA in my college in NM Medical. I ended a month or so, and then I realized that I can't do this, and I think medicine is where my interest also lies. It was just a trial. I got admissions, so I took it just to explore. But then decision to go into MBBS was mine. Also, post graduation, so post my MBBS, I was considering between general surgery and or my dad always says either do what you love or start living what you do. So if you start loving what they do, I think that's how it is. You develop a keen interest in the field and you excel. Like you just mentioned your father, and he must be telling you stories when you were growing up, right? Whenever you used to come back home from the hospital, he telling you some fiction, some interesting case that had come. What is that one unique experience that he's told you, which you still remember at this point of time, and it helps you in your day? So I think challenging places is always, I mean, uh, was always discussed at home and being at the breakfast table or the dinner table or something. And that has always inspired me to do better. My father was one of the initial people who started laparoscopic surgery in Mumbai. I remember a time where no one used to do laparoscopy surgery, then he was the first one in Dubai to start that. I think that when he started that, the struggles that he faced and how he overcame them. I love the fact that we're talking about that even in a legacy, you have to keep innovating, right? Even in a legacy, you have to make sure that you're the first and your father was a second generation, you come in as a third generation in the family business. He started something that nobody else did. You, on the other hand, do you feel that orthopedic per se as a profession with AI coming into the picture, what is the new advancement that can happen in orthopedics? Orthopedic spectrum has reinvented itself in doing robotic surgery. So, as my dad was one of the pioneers in laparoscopic surgery, I am one of the first people to start AI-based robotic systems in Mumbai. for knee replacement. So that's how science is progressing. If you are not going to keep up with time, I think time is not going to keep.
Amazing. Ravi, what do you feel in terms of when you were going through your studies per se? What has changed in so many years in the medical study? What is that one subject that you feel like that can be inculcated in the profession so that the future generations can be a little more advanced?
I would like to calculate it, the current curriculum. One is financial knowledge. That and secondly, I think that communication. So basically, communication and emotional. Uh, this is very important while you are in the field.
You told me about financial literacy first, which is like
Right.
right? And I love educating people in terms of financial literacy. At this point of time, you build legacies, but how do you retain them? How do you sustain them? Legacies are only sustained when there's a good management in terms of your finances as well as in terms of your core business.
Building that trust with your patient is extremely important. So communicating with them, telling them the hard truths is extremely important. Being honest with them to develop that trust. Not everyone can do it, and
isn't that a characteristic?
Correct. So I sort of agree with you. I sort of agree with you. Emotional quotient can't be a subject. You can't teach someone to be emotional. You can't teach someone to be empathetic. I think that is something that you're born with. But yes, the better communication, someone who's not as good with communicating to this patient.
And communication maybe can be taught to everybody in every field for that matter. It's not just doctors, it's every single field.
Correct.
Where better communication will always give you better outcomes.
Right. I love this conversation that we're having about communication. There's a difference between communication that somebody who's a first generation or a founder has, somebody who comes in from a legacy background. Right. People say that we are privileged enough. That's the reason we are privileged. People do say that we are privileged enough. That's the reason it's easy for us to communicate. It's easy for us to handle things because we've already seen things in the past. In the medical field, wherein there are two types of doctors that are produced. One which are produced from government hospitals, one which are produced from private hospitals. Right? Do you feel that this differentiation of private and government is very much there in the legacy, or people don't believe in this in the legacy back?
From a private hospital or a government hospital, I don't think there are two different set of doctors who are coming up. I think it's very individualistic. Yes, their knowledge might be a little different uh, when they get in, but when they come out, everyone is graded in the same way. I've seen a lot of people who've done MBBS from Russia also prosper, and I've seen a lot of doctors from a government college also not do as well. So the I think life evens out quite a lot once you get in that. Uh, when we are younger or when we are in our 12th standard, I think that is all that matters to us to get into a government college. But once you get out of it, you actually realize that that was just getting it, and the real struggle starts after getting out.
So you wouldn't say that for a legacy kid, for a nepo kid is what the term has been told to us. For a nepo kid or for somebody who's coming without a background, it's the same. You get out of any college, you get out of any university.
The struggle definitely is lesser. I mean, you have a base, yeah, which is you have a hospital to go to, you have a place to sit at. Uh, you get the first patient a little easier. That patient that you've gotten is sending someone else is not only because of the legacy that you built, is also because you've given a good treatment. That patient has uh, is coming back to you for the second time because he trusts you.
True. Very, very.
So Rishi, the way you said the okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a very simple concept, right? That it's there in every field.
Yes.
Correct? The difference that, as he said, the first patient who comes to me tells me that I'm your dad's patient since last 30 years. Now that's the legacy. That's the legacy and that's the inheritance that we carry with us. because that's the trust factor that he has since last 30 years. My dad has treated him very well, and he expects the same out of me. I'm telling you, we are all blessed to get that. That you get your first client because of your dad.
Yeah.
If you don't manage your money well, nobody's going to stick with you.
True.
But that first client getting is, of course, a blessing because of our parents. Going forward, it's the legacy that we're going to create, and that nobody can change or nobody can uh, give you an inheritance or change it for you.
True. You've been born in a legacy, but to create a legacy for a future generation is up to us. True. When we talk about medical profession, Ravi, what do you feel? You're 28, right? Uh, what is the myth that you've seen these past many years that should be broken at this point of time?
So, maybe most of the patients that come to an orthopedic surgery do only remedies. Then we realize when it's a little too late. Uh, or when they could have gotten a better outcome if they had come prior to visiting us, visiting a specific specialist like an orthopedic surgeon or someone. So they gotten a better outcome if they would have come to us prior.
So you say people trying out different fields of science, right? Apart from and
Yeah,
allopathic.
for sure. Because all that's been going around is that uh ये कर ले इससे ठीक हो जाएगा, and then they wait for a while after doing nothing, and it's a little too late to treat that. It could have been easily treated if they'd come to a specialist prior to consulting with some uh, non-medical.
Isn't this a big issue or something which is being said in India only because we're coming from the Vedas and people have the Ayurvedas and all these different kinds of things. It's not there in the other parts of the world. Why do you feel this is there only in India and not there?
So it's not only in India.
Okay.
It's also there outside. Here there's Ayurveda, there's this chiropractic. So a lot of alternative forms of therapy are being tried. I don't say they never work, but in patients whom they don't work in, and that's a good set of population, they cause more harm than good. डॉक्टर के पास लास्ट जाने का, कुछ नहीं चला तो डॉक्टर के पास जाने का. I think that myth is something that you know if we break, then it will be a great.
Like how I stated earlier, that doctors are considered as gods in my entire.
ये भी myth है,
This is a myth.
Yes.
Why?
ये myth भी break
Because
करना है.
you've seen a lot of news coming in.
Not only because of that. See, now you talked about AI. Yeah. So a lot of patients are now very, very well informed. Earlier, whatever the doctor used to say was considered as, patthar ki lagi sort of. With AI, there's a lot of information that the patients already come with. And doctors have never been God and will never be God. But earlier doctors were considered God. Right now, I don't think that's the case. A lot of people do still believe in that. But a lot of people, with the current violent situations that are going on, I think it'll be a, uh, wrong thing to say that doctors are considered next to God.
The point I was coming to is that people would go to a temple when they are in need, not otherwise. Per se. That's the same situation here. When they need a doctor is when they go the last resort. What you're talking about, right? So exactly like a god, they would not take any precautions. They would not do it regularly. They would not go for a follow up visit or something. It's when they get something dislocated per se, or they get some disformity in their skin. Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
I ideally do believe that you should have a follow up with your doctor.
Yes.
On a regular basis,
Even if you are healthy.
even if you're healthy. True. In terms of both your fields, you coming from a dermatology field and both of you are coming from ortho. What do you feel is the ideal time frame any patient or any regular uh, person from the age of 20 to 40 should visit the doctor?
As per dermatological perspective, it all depends on the cause or the reason why you're visiting. If you have any issue, the way we were addressing this earlier, a lot of people directly just go to the chemist. I have had so many patients who directly go to the chemist and ask for a treatment, and the chemist will hand out anything possible in
Is that true?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
A lot.
A lot of them.
You will be surprised at the number of people who come after that. Or just ask your neighbor कि आपको हुआ था ना तो I will also apply the same thing. And we forget that there are a lot of contents in it. It's like it's not just one white cream. There are the different content, and they sometimes spoil that thing in come to us, which is what has really stopped. Where a simple consult would save you a lot of money, time, and suffering. So a simple consult will help you guide you better what has to be done further. As it comes to regular checkups, it all depends on what disease you're specific to.
Rahul and you come in from a lazy background of the mind. Can you tell us one story about your mother and your father each that you still remember in terms of their experience as building the steps?
I'll tell about mom. She's been a very, um, you know, always planned early and always planned ahead. Something that she's told us not to indulge in is analytical practice. So she's always been like, yeah, you might earn a little less, but if you do ethical practice, I think that's going to be your biggest wealth. The trust that you get from your patients might be and is always much more than you know the money that you lose out of. So
I've traveled with your mom, really like that, and the dedication that I have seen. God, commend. Ravi will come back to you in terms of your father's learnings and what he's told. Very interestingly, what you said, that there's a difference between a doctor and an owner of a hospital, right? They're two very different things, and a legacy per se is not built in by a doctor; it's built in by an owner of a doctor,
Yes.
right? Um, Viewers would want to know a little bit more as to how do you feel you will be a good owner of the hospital in the future.
yeah, so again, when you're an owner of the hospital, you are also seeing your patients. You are also thinking very clinically, but you're also managing staff. You're also managing marshal, sisters, schedules. You're also managing uh, uh, a lot of times when I go on rounds, there are patients who complain to me that TV is not good. You know, things, small things like that. So when you are managing a hospital, you have to look at the entire uh, spectrum, and uh, you have to make sure that there are SOPs in place where um, there are good heads for each and every small fields like uh,
So say delegation is something that has to be done if you're an owner of a business and you want to succeed. Micromanagement is not what is doable in this generation. You have to macro manage everything, right? As well as be centralized in terms. You could not be present everywhere, right? Now, can we know a little bit about your father's journey in terms of how he became? So, Mrs. Kapadia was a gynecologist. Your father came in as a general surgeon, one of the best at that point of time, and now also he's following that. What got him into general surgery, and what has his journey been? What is the learning that he's given to passed it on?
an interesting story where how
Tell me.
dad started. So my dad's aunt,
Yeah.
she was practicing in 1970 at the time. She was working in a OPD setup with a single bed. So it was one cabin and one bed. She was owning that place. She had an untimely death in the 1970s, and after that, they was given the hospital shut down. My dad was doing MBBS. Finished his post graduation. He started practicing it. How we got into general surgery was also something which is funny because he once he finished his MBBS, it was not like an entrance exam that you give to do. At that time, you had to just fill out a form. Based on your marks of the whole MBBS, you would get one of the specialities that you have filled. Oh wow! So he put in general surgery because he thought he's not going to get cancer. He always wanted to do medicine. He put out medicine and he put out general surgery. Unfortunately or fortunately, he got into general surgery and he didn't really like it in the beginning. But then he once he started doing it, he started loving it. Then he started, you know, that like
He never stopped.
he never stopped. Right. Then he continued, and once he started the hospital, it was not a hospital. Yeah, it was a center with this one bed that. Yes. So and then we've now gone to a 30-bedded multi-specialty hospital with 6 PODs. We also have a lot of um, parallel clinics that we have the diagnostic centers on physiotherapy center, one wound and median, one aesthetic, um, no, two aesthetic clinics, one metabolic physician care. So, called even health. So, I mean, we've grown not only as a hospital but also as a preventive healthcare setup with a lot of further added, spectrums into our field.
I love the fact that how a one-bedded hospital became a multi-specialty with ancillaries, of
Correct.
course, right? I do remember my father telling me stories when he started off as a chartered accountant. He had a table and a chair. That's all. That is a plastic table and a plastic chair is what he started his practice with, and now he's building this empire. Um, it's very humbling per se when they tell us these stories, right? What do you think will be our stories that we will tell our next generation? Because we don't have these struggles, right? Our struggles are different per se, that we've got higher standards to meet. Uh, our parents have reached 10x, we've got to take it to 100x or 1000x, right? That's the challenge and that's the hurdles that we go through. What will you tell? You've got a child, right? What would you want to tell Mahi about uh, your legacy?
So I think what I would like to tell is that yes, we started off with a name already attached to us, but with that also we were able to carry on the same values that our parents gave us and hopefully inculcate most of those values to her in spite of being born with a silver or golden spoon. We were still able to remain grounded at the same time, uh, be happy because everyone knows just having money is not equal to having. So be happy, live our life the way we want it, and give the life that we envision to her. I think that's what we will or we can give our children.
So next question I'm going to be asking Ravi, it's a little, we can be contradictory. People can take conflicts out of. But do you feel, as we were discussing, the next gen or the legacies that are built in, they believe in more trust, transparency, and they believe in having their faith with the client and not cheating them, not doing anything wrong, which has been taught, like you rightly mentioned, right? That your mother has always taught you to have an ethical practice. Even your parents have always taught you that we have to have an ethical practice, come what may. Is that a thumb rule in a legacy business? Why so? And what is the difference between somebody who's founding a new business and somebody who's building a legacy?
All should be practically practicing. So there's no.
This should be.
Yeah,
But
if there's
if
no.
you see the proportion of people getting into legacy, like the second, third generation, believe in this characteristic or the concept more than the people who are starting out their business.
But if you're starting off your own business and if you're not having these values in place,
You will not build a
you
legacy.
not build a legacy. So I think the ground rule is going to
I
be the
think
same for
sure. I think the
everyone.
advantage or what we're talking about is that with the legacy, we're not struggling with household stuff. Okay, you're trying to make it 10x and 100x. So it's just easier for us to understand, and that's the values that we've been brought up with. That ethical practice is the most core important value to go forward, and that is always the core value. Sometimes the thing that you were saying, somebody who's building from scratch might forget that for a while and might want to take a shortcut. But in the long run, that never works. Because in the long run, that is going to catch up with you and that is going to slow you down. So for a short while, taking the shortcut is not the end game. That is what our parents are trying to teach us, and that is what they taught to us.
If you want to build a business, that's okay. Do whatever you want. But if you want to build a legacy, you have to follow these core practices. Otherwise, when we talk about legacies, uh, it goes hand in hand with talk about success. What does success mean to each one of you, and how has it been changed over these many years?
In the start, it was always about getting degrees, getting recognition. So now the success is basically just the patient coming in and being happy with what we offered them, being happy with the result or the outcome.
What about you?
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't think I'm successful. Like, I think successful is what I would call my parents. But I think I'm still struggling. I'm in that journey still, and being successful is a long way to go. But these daily successes gives us pleasure and that makes us happy.
I love the humbling answer that you gave. Coming back that you feel that your parents are successful. Can you talk about a little bit about how they built their legacy and what got them into the medical profession?
So I think, like us, my dad also joined the pharmacy for the first time, and he was waiting for a very long time for it, and then ended up doing it. So that was his story. My dada was a bank manager. So we come from a very simple, humble background. When my dad started, he started in a rental place where he used to sit and do his OPD, go around in his scooter and meet all general practitioners nearby. And he's done everything. I think the backbone of my hospital is one only and only my mother. She left, she's a gynecologist. She left her practice in her prime years to take care of us and the hospital. And I think that is why we are here where we are. Because my dad could focus completely on clinical medicine and not worry about the management side or the financial aspect of anything. And that's how
Legacy
both of
building
them,
needs sacrifice,
and I think both of them did that, yeah.
right? A lot of people don't
Being a
understand.
doctor also.
Being a doctor needs a lot of sacrifice. I mean, so truly. At the age of 32 or 33 is when you actually get your final degree and you come out in the field to start working.
Yeah, so
Right?
we lose a lot of compounding years
You
then.
lose a lot of compounding years as in terms of finances you talk about. But we make up for it. Right? For you guys, we compound that
Yes.
Yeah.
and we double it. But this is something that people don't talk about. That is sacrifice, right? A tree is not built just by normal watering. It has to be taken care by somebody wholeheartedly. Amazing things happening in the air. We'll come back to that in another session for sure. To wrap today's session, one small sentence that would like all to complete. Being a doctor means what?
Being a doctor means being a friend, being a family to your patient when they need that help.
Being a doctor is a responsibility. Being a doctor is having that privilege to service and knowing that you have to make a lot of sacrifices. That is
Please. Thank you so much Krupa, Rahul, Rai for joining us today at the session at the Inherited Chair. We hope to see you in the future sessions too and talk more in depth about how legacies are carried forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. This is a good sofa.
This is an inherited sofa.
Not a new chair. Not an inherited chair.
God, I take 1 minute to understand him only.